New data came out showing inflation at its highest in almost 40 years.
If you drive interest rates down to zero and all the countries print money like crazy.
We're seeing very substantial inflation. It's very interesting.
Look at housing prices, look at Bitcoin, right? Everything is inflating.
We're raising prices. People are raising prices to us.
Who knows when money printing runs out of control?
The costs are just up, up, up.
At the end, if you print too much, you end up in something like Venezuela.
Inflation rose at an annual rate of 6.8% for the month of November. We haven't seen this amount of inflation since the early 1980s. Now, this is despite what Jerome Powell has been saying, that this inflation is only transitory. He has now recently come out and said that this is not transitory.
Inflation has run well above 2% for long enough. The word transitory has different meanings to different people. It's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean.
If you watch a number of my videos, you know I'm a big fan of Buffett. So in today's video, we're going to be listening to what he has to say around inflation and what he's currently seeing out there in the market across the businesses that he manages within Berkshire Hathaway, and also what we can do as investors to help combat some of these effects that we're all experiencing through to the high inflationary period, and also businesses that we can invest in, and also the best investment that we can possibly make in these high inflationary periods. So with that said, let's jump over and hear what Buffett has to say about inflation.
We're seeing very substantial inflation. It's very interesting. I mean, we're raising prices. People are raising prices to us. It's being accepted. I mean, it's not, take home building. I mean, the cost of, we've got 9 home builders, and in addition to our manufactured housing thing, and then operation, which is the largest in the country. So we really do a lot of housing. The costs are just up, up, up. Steel costs, just every day, they're going up. It's an economy really, it's red hot. I mean, and we weren't expecting it. It just kept going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And I get the figures every week. I call, or Bumpkin calls me, and we go over day by day what happened at 3 different stores in Chicago and Kansas City and Dallas, and it just won't stop. People have money in their pocket, and they pay the higher prices. And meanwhile, it's a terrible situation for a percentage of the people. There's more inflation going on than, quite a bit more inflation going on than people would have anticipated just 6 months ago or thereabouts.
So it seems very clear that Warren Buffett is seeing some substantial inflation across a number of his businesses within the portfolio, and it's definitely not transitory, despite what Jerome Powell has been saying the last year or so. It definitely looks like it is not transitory. We don't know how far it's going to run up or anything like that. It's so hard to speculate, but at these times we can definitely look back to these people that we look up to, such as Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Mohnish Pabrai, a lot of these great value investors, and to see what they do through these periods of high inflation. This next video from Warren Buffett is an older clip, but we can still take away some very key lessons on businesses that perform well through high inflationary periods, and also businesses don't perform well through high inflationary periods.
Yeah, well, the best businesses during inflation are usually the best. They're the businesses that you buy once, and then you don't have to keep making capital investments subsequently. So you do not face the problem of continuous reinvestment involving greater and greater dollars because of inflation. Any business with heavy capital investment tends to be a poor business to be in inflation, and often it's a poor business to be in generally. And the business where you buy something once, a brand is a wonderful thing to own during inflation.
So during these high inflationary periods, we want to stay away from these capitally intensive businesses. And just like Warren says there, generally most of the time you want to stay away from these highly capital intensive businesses, such as utilities or airlines. Even though Buffett has invested in airlines in the past, he did sell out of those as well. Really like Buffett's last point on the importance of having a brand. Companies such as Coca-Cola or Apple, they have amazing brands. And during these high inflationary periods, they can offset a lot of the cost of inflation to us, the end consumer. Let's say Coke, for example, the cost of sugar goes up, and anything else that's required to make a can of Coke, they can increase the can of Coke by 1 or 2 cents for me and you, the end consumer. We're not going to bat an eyelid. We're not going to jump ship to another competitor just because the price of a can of Coke has gone up a couple of cents.
The best protection, the best investment against inflation is to improve your own earning power, your own talents. Very few people maximize their talents. And if you increase your talents, They can't tax it while you're doing it. They can't take it away from you. So if you become more useful in your activities, your profession, doctor, lawyer, whatever it may be, that is the best protection against a currency that might decline at a rapid rate. And the best investment, passive investment, I think, is a good business. If you own an interest in a good business, you're very likely to maintain purchasing power no matter what happens to the currency.
So hopefully you got some value from today's video. I think there's some very good points that Buffett's raised and things that we can do to help navigate through this high inflationary period. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What are you guys currently doing through this high inflationary period? Are you investing in different companies? Are you selling off maybe some of your capital intensive companies? Are you investing into gold? Love to hear from you guys. Drop in the comments below what you guys are currently doing. I think to wrap up today's video, we're going to end it on a positive note, and we're going to listen to some very wise words from Charlie Munger with regards to inflation.
I can be optimistic when I'm nearly dead. Surely the rest of you can handle a little inflation.